I am sad to tell you that while we don't know the full extent of the damage to Lee County right now, we are beginning to get a sense that our community has been, in some respects, decimated. We know that there is tremendous damage on Sanibel, Fort Myers Beach. We know that LCEC, 75% of their customers are without power. 80% of the FPL customers are without power. We don't know yet because we can't, the storm is still too strong. We don't know yet the extent of the damage to our local infrastructure, whether it's the electrical grid or the utility systems. We know that the utility systems that Lee County is responsible for, we have multiple line breaks throughout the county. But we're not yet able to get to them to, first of all, just identify exactly where they are, and then secondarily, how to go about fixing them. So I want to provide you with an update as best we can for the moment. And so the storm continues to pass through Lee County, and we know it has done extreme damage to the area because the weather condition is still too dangerous. We just can't. We can't get our public works crews out on the road to begin first pass to clear debris that is blocking some of the roads. We do expect to have extensive infrastructure damage. We know the roads that are unsafe will be unsafe after the storm, and we'll ask you to stay where you are until we can understand the extent of the damage and the conditions that everyone's going to have to deal with. Because of all of that, we will be enacting a curfew tonight at 6 p.m. And the curfew includes unincorporated areas of Lee County as well as all of the cities, with the exception of Estero. And the only reason I say city of Estero is because we've not been able to contact them to see if that is something they agree to. We are working very closely with the Board of County Commissioners, with the Sheriff's Office, and the cities and their law enforcement agencies. Earlier today, when law enforcement was unable to respond because of the weather conditions, it was unsafe, there was a break-in on Cleveland Avenue, and there was looting, and there was a group of people, don't know a lot about it yet, who just had their way. I think it was with one of the Speedway gas stations or one of those. And so the city of Fort Myers, they, and I think wisely so, called to talk about a curfew. After consulting with Sheriff Marcino and the County Commission and some city managers and their city councils, we made the decision to enact that curfew today. It will be in place until further notice. Our best information right now is that the storm is not going to begin to leave Lee County area and make it safe to actually even be on the roads until 5 a.m. Well, at 5 a.m. it's still dark, and we don't know what kind of down power lines there are. We don't know what kind of condition the bridges are going to be in. They all have to be inspected before we can start using them again. I apologize. Come on, stop. Betsy, will you throw those away? Thank you. We just don't we just don't know you. We don't have that information. So the curfew will be in place till further notice. It will be enforced by law enforcement. Exceptions will be, of course, people who are seeking health care, going to work, going to school, going to the grocery store. Otherwise, in conversations with the sheriff and others, there'll be a lot of common sense that is exercised, but to be sure, and I feel safe relaying this on behalf of law enforcement, there's going to be a zero tolerance policy for looting and violence in this town. We probably, and we'll know very soon, we probably had more damage caused by this storm than any time I can remember during my time in Lee County, which is a long, long time. The Sheriff's Office is coordinating with all the other law enforcement agencies and we'll begin enforcing the curfew as soon as weather conditions permit. The curfew, of course, does not apply to first responders and emergency workers. And so now I'd like to introduce Ben Avis, our Public Safety Director for Emergency Medical Services, to give you an update on issues that he's dealing with.
Thank you, Roger. Thank you all for being here today. This is an important update for everyone in Lee County, and it's coming from those of us here at the Emergency Operations Center who are coordinating the response efforts. Devastating impacts continue to occur as Hurricane Ian crosses Lee County. These impacts will continue to be felt throughout the night. We urge the community to continue to monitor information from the National Weather Service, as well as reports from local meteorologists. We need the public to know that we are receiving and tracking 911 calls and engaging with every caller. We are categorizing them and prioritizing them so first responders can act as soon as the hurricane passes. We are aware of a number of calls of people who are stranded due to high water. However, we are faced with conditions that make it impossible to respond right now. For example, just before 5 p.m., there were recorded gusts of 135 miles per hour at the Cape Coral Yacht Club. And it's not just coastal flooding that we're facing. We're seeing flooding inland in areas we know have flooded before. If you have water coming in your home, call 911 and seek the highest spot possible. We want you to know that we have spent today here at the EOC putting in place rescue operations to assist people who are stranded by high water and storm surge. And we are engaging all partners at every level, from local, state, and national, to rescue everyone as quickly as possible. This is a scary situation, and we completely understand that. We urge you not to panic. If you can remain safe where you are, our first responder community urges you to stay there. If you or your neighbors or your loved ones are not safe, we want you to understand what we're doing to get to you and get you to safety. Our county leaders are working with federal urban search and rescue teams from across the country. These are experts trained in all types of rescue scenarios. They are on the way, and they will be here as soon as the hurricane conditions allow them to complete their travel into the Lee County area. The State Emergency Operations Center has helped us today with expediting this mission. Florida Urban Search and Rescue Task Force units are coordinated and stand by to come and help us get to you. The plan is moving forward right now, led by first responder and fire representatives here inside the Emergency Operations Center. Finally, we expect to receive assistance from identified federal and military entities who are skilled in rescues in areas that are hardest to reach. And this includes using boats, high water vehicles, and helicopters. Once more, please know that we are with you. We are all part of our community. Our loved ones are here, our homes are here, and we are here. And we are going to get through this together. We will be ready to provide this coordinated response for our community once the hurricane conditions pass the area. Roger?
Thank you, Ben. I think it's, I don't know how much Wi-Fi is available in Lee County right now, but we're hopeful that, you know, there will be a lot of people who get to see this, this Facebook production, and hopefully those of you in the media will be able to spread the word as well to help us communicate with the community. This is going to be a very difficult, trying time for the next several months. This response and recovery effort is going to be complex, it's going to be costly, and it's going to be require very concentrated efforts on the parts of the federal, state, and local government agencies and the private sector as well. So with that, Commissioner, did you have anything you'd like to add?
No, I just think most importantly, thank you, Roger. Most importantly, let everyone know that we're here. Certainly as someone that's governed on these Berry Islands for a long time, my hearts go out to those people. We'll try to help them as soon as we can. When I was on TV just a little while ago, just want to emphasize, we understand there are people waiting for us, but we can't put anyone else in harm's way, and we have to wait for the conditions to improve. We have resources, and the governor assured us we'll continue to have resources, whatever we need. So we want to make sure we have those deployed when it's safe for all people. Thank you.
We'll take a few questions.
Roger, we are hearing about multiple fatalities. Do you have any estimation on how many deaths could have occurred from this?
We do not have an estimate yet. And if you have information that you could pass along to us, we would appreciate having it so that we can follow up when we're able to get out.
Are we anticipating that? We're hearing the hospitals are preparing for it.
As part of the emergency response plans, hospitals will always prepare for that when we have a hurricane. I think it's reasonable to think that given all of the conditions that we've experienced for the last 12 hours or so, that there can be fatalities, but we just don't have that information yet.
To what extent was it worse than what you might have thought it would be leading up to these 2 days?
For all of us who've lived in Florida for a lot of years, we've been through many, many hurricanes locally. And it seems as though every storm that we've endured, we hear about tidal surge and we hear about flooding, but it hasn't been our time. We have not experienced the kind of flooding and tidal surge that we have experienced today. You see about that in other parts of the country, and you wonder whether or not it's going to be our turn. Well, it appears as though this would be our time to endure that.
There have been some infrastructure damage that you referenced. Is this kind of permanent damage that will require rebuilding roads or rebuilding bridges or things of that nature? Has it gotten that far?
Well, we don't know the answer to that question yet, Bill. We don't know to what extent infrastructure has been damaged. I think it's reasonable, given the winds and the tidal surge, that we are going to see down power lines. We're going to see down power poles. We're probably going to see down communication towers. I think just about the only communication system left in Lee County that's intact is cell phones, which, for some reason. So, we think that's going to be okay. But given the conditions that we've been living with, I think I don't want to rule out devastating damage to any of the infrastructure yet. We just don't know.
Some people are asking, where can they go because their homes are destroyed or, they're flooded. Is there any place people can go? What would you tell people who are sitting in their cars right now?
What I would tell them now is when it's safe to drive, go to one of our emergency shelters. We have 14 shelters that are open. Last count, we had almost 4,000 people in those shelters, and we can house 40,000. Once the roads are clear and we have a better understanding of the kind of damage we have, people will likely find themselves going outside of Lee County to find at least temporary housing. We will also probably be having conversations with the federal government about temporary housing for victims of the storm.
Is there any chance we may be opening Hertz Arena or anything along those lines?
Hertz Arena is, it is, yeah, Hertz Arena is open. It is. We've had contract with them for many, many years, and so that shelter is available.
Could you provide more details about Cape Coral? What have you been hearing back from the city government?
So I've been in constant communication with the mayor, certainly having issues there, but they seem to have sustained this better than other communities. There's some breach in some of the water lines. They're going through that capacity. Certainly had different roofs come off, but by and large, in the conversations I've had with the mayor so far, they seem to have done a little bit better than the rest of the community.
Transportation right now, people not supposed to go riding in their private vehicles, or where does that stand?
People should not be on the road. It is just too dangerous. We still have high-velocity winds. We still have flooding. We still have tidal surge. And it is, 5:45? It'll be dark in a couple of hours. And the last place people need to be is on the road. It is just too dangerous.
How, and this is indefinitely at this point, the curfew for Lee County?
Yes, sir. The curfew will be in effect at 6 and tonight and until further notice. We don't want to keep it in place any longer than necessary, but given that right in the middle of the storm, we had some bad guys break into a business and ransack it. And I want to reiterate, and I am very comfortable speaking for the law enforcement community, there will be zero tolerance for violence of any kind in this county. People will not be allowed to take advantage of this situation.
Commissioner, how bad is the damage on Barrier Island from what you can?
You know, I've gotten multiple reports of some hotels that are gone, houses that people are in their attics with water that high. I'm going to suspect, you know, what we thought 16-foot surges took place. And when you look at the coordination of the way the tides come in and that surge coming, I can't even fathom it. But the number of people have called for help. You know, we're on the Barrier Islands, we're aware of that, but I can't put more people in harm's way to try to go save them. We have resources. There's over 70 helicopters right in Miami. We have the ability to go help them, but we've got to wait.
Do we have any idea when some of these people might be able to get some help?
I don't think we're going to see anything that we're going to be able to do till tomorrow morning, because we're not going to be out of sustained tropical winds till tomorrow morning. So unfortunately, as much as my heart breaks governing on that island for as long as it is, we can't even get a helicopter up. It's only going to do is come down. So I can't put our first responders, our military people in harm's way. As much as we understand the severity of the situation, we just can't do that. And my empathy and sympathy and prayers for the people out there. But this is something we asked very early and very often. Make sure you get off of Barrier Island. So my heart goes out to them. Be patient. We'll do the best we can, but we can't put our first responders in harm's way. Can't.
So we would ask you to please help us convey this message to your listening audiences. That would be enormously helpful, and we'll be in touch about our next briefing probably tomorrow morning sometime.
And you're spending the night?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Thank you all.